Welcome back to the Transform with MG podcast, where we'll talk all things transforming your body, health, and mindset. So I'm super excited for this week's episode because there is so many amazing questions to be answered and something that I think is very important to talk about, and a lot of the topics that we just don't really have an answer to, especially on social media. So I'm ready to dive into it. It's really like female based around our periods, around our menstrual cycle, what to eat, training, and yeah. I'm just, without further ado, I'm just gonna get into the questions right away. Okay, first question. What's the best food to eat premenstrual to help with bloating, if any? So, us girls will know the period bloat. It makes us feel sluggish, low on energy, low on mood. It's actually very common and it is also normal. The reason why we experience bloating and it's one of the PMS symptoms, it's because in the second phase of our menstrual cycles our hormones change and that makes us retain more water. So there is a number of things that you can do, while for a lot of people it just might be inevitable that that's going to occur. You can do something to try and minimize it or perhaps reduce it. So when it comes to your nutrition, opting for high potassium foods, so bananas or green leafy veg such as spinach, will help to reduce the sodium in the body. So that be one thing that you could incorporate more of in your diet and see how you're feeling. Another thing would be to reduce any high salty foods, because again it's the sodium and salt that holds onto more water. So the more high salty food you're going to have, the higher chances that you're going to retain the water in your body. And another thing which can be quite helpful and might sound a little bit counterproductive, but that is actually to be drinking more. And I know when you're thinking like, I'm already bloated, I'm already holding on to a lot of water, why would drinking more water help with that? But it pushes you to use the bathroom more and you're flushing out the excess water as you urinate. I know when it is leading up to your period and you are feeling like that extra bit bloated, it can negatively impact or like self-confidence and body image. But it is something to recognize that it does happen and it comes around, and being in tune with your cycle can be really important because it allows you to recognize when that bloating is coming and that it is not related to you necessarily gaining weight. And some people experience like 2 to 3 kilograms increase in weight, and yes, you might look a little different. That doesn't mean that you're not progressing towards your fitness goal. So it's something to keep in mind, and there's some strategies that you can go around it, but every woman is different and we're all individuals. So like what maybe works for me or one of the clients is not necessarily going to work for you. So you have to experiment a little bit, but try the higher potassium foods like I mentioned with the bananas and green leafy veg. So introduce a lot more of them into maybe the week leading up to your period. Reduce any high salty foods, and then remember to stay extra hydrated as well, as that's going to help. So the next question or a topic is on hangover eating and how to avoid making bad choices. So you need to look at your actions and whether those actions are sabotaging your fitness goals. If you go out drinking and you end up having 10 pints, ordering a greasy takeaway, and then the following day you're feeling super sorry for yourself and you're bedbound, again, just opting for really bad food choices, then you need to really reconsider the actions that you're taking before your hangover in order for them to be more aligned with your goals. And sometimes that actually might mean reducing the amount you're drinking, because if you're getting so intoxicated that you're losing control out of what you're doing and then you have huge regrets, then the drink might be an issue. And I know it's summer and I know there's a lot of going out and spontaneous nights out, and if you're living in Ireland, basically everything you do revolves around drink. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, I'm not saying if you have like a fat loss goal or any health and fitness related goal, you should cut out drink because it's going to completely sabotage your progress, because that's not the case. Like, you can still make really good progress while being able to enjoy a couple of drinks, but you need to reconsider what's important to you. Like, yes, if you completely don't care about your health or your body composition and don't really want to have any regard towards the amount of calories you're consuming through alcohol, like, you do you. But I'm assuming you do care about making a change, and that comes with making some compromises. So what I would do in order to prevent yourself from making bad food choices is actually setting a limit on the amount of drinks you're going to have that night before you go out. So have some intentions, being like, yes, I'm still going to enjoy myself to the fullest and enjoy the whole experience, spend time with my loved ones, with friends or whoever, but I don't have to just go like ham on the drink. You can actually tell yourself like, okay, I'm gonna have 4 or 5 drinks and that's it. Like, I'm putting a stop on it. And a lot of the times, I know for myself, it's literally about holding a drink in my hand. And I don't really care whether it's an alcoholic drink or whatever drink. It's more so like a social thing of having a drink and like sipping on it. So what you can do is every second drink, you just order either a soft drink or a water, and nobody's even gonna like be questioning you, you know, like whether you're drinking a gin and tonic or you're just literally drinking a tonic. And that way, you're actually reducing the amount of alcohol you are consuming, which in turn saves you a lot of calories, but then it also prevents you from being so drunk that you are making bad choices. And lastly, it keeps you hydrated, because dehydration makes hangover like 100 times worse. And actually, another thing, a lot of people report that like the next day they actually like lost weight and are feeling leaner after like a night out. And the reason for that is the dehydration, because alcohol, it makes you go to the bathroom, and obviously like you're using the bathroom so much, but you're only fueling your body with alcohol, and yeah, you just end up dehydrated. So that's one way to kind of stop yourself from just going overboard, and in turn you'll have more control over like the actions that you take that night and the following day. So then when it comes to food, I'm not going to say like, yeah, just go home after a night out and have a salad. Like, it's kind of unrealistic. Like, I know I wouldn't do that, but make a choice and choose your indulgences. Like, okay, you're either going out and you're going for a meal and drinks, and that is going to be your like food of choice, or you're going to maybe get like your kebab after, like that's fine, but then the following day you're getting back into like your normal routine and having a really good nutritious breakfast that's going to follow along with like eating well for the rest of the day. Or you just go home and don't end up getting a takeaway, but then maybe you want to treat yourself to like a brunch, or like a big fry in the morning or a breakfast roll, but that's going to be like your one indulgence of that like night out, and at least you're limiting yourself to one, and you're not dragging on a night out for like 2 to 3 days, which then can really hinder your progress, because it's not really about the night in itself. Like, once you're being somewhat sensible around the amount of drinks you're consuming and the amount of calories you're consuming that night, you're still good. You can still easily be in a fat loss or in like a deficit by the end of the week. But it's often like how you carry on for 2-3 days, because alcohol has like obviously a bad effect on you in terms of the actions that you're going to take, and you're not as motivated to train, you're not as adherent with your nutrition, your sleep is compromised. So it's finding a nice balance. Like, yes, you can still go and enjoy events, but it doesn't mean that like you have to go like ham on it, have as much drink as possible, get a greasy takeaway that night, the following day you just don't move at all and eat crap. It's, yeah, enjoy it in moderation, and then just get back into a good routine the following day. I would really try and make some sort of a plan for the next day, so you're not just like lazing around the house. Two of the main things would be hydration and just getting outside for some fresh air. So if you could do that at the start of the day, whenever you wake up, like you're already setting yourself up for the day. It might not be as productive day, you still might be hungover, but just doing something to like benefit your future self is really gonna help. So yeah, to answer your questions, like being hungover and making bad choices, I think it just starts before you even go out, and setting the intentions that you want and taking actions in line with your goals. Like if you still want to continue seeing progress, and especially if you're somebody that goes out a lot, then there is going to be that level of compromise needed. Like you can't just completely disregard the fact that alcohol contains a lot of calories, that you're going to be way over your calories if you decide to like consume 2 to 3 takeaways in that like weekend as well. So the next question is, what's the best supplement you recommend for increasing strength? So when it comes to increasing your strength or building muscle, the key things that you need to focus on first and foremost, before even looking at supplements, is your nutrition and training. With the training, if strength is the goal, you should be looking at training anywhere between 2 to 5 days. Really dependent on the individual, the training history, the schedule that they have, and what they can fit in and get out of their workouts. But you need to be hitting each muscle group at least twice per week, I would say, in order to see some substantial changes in your strength. Because if you go in and just do one resistant training session every 7 days, yes, you might increase strength, but it's going to take a lot longer. So strength comes from lifting weights progressively, so week on week or over time, you want to be doing a bit more. And then you also need to be fueling yourself properly. If you're under eating, then you're going to really struggle to move up in weight and get stronger. So these are the first two key things. In terms of supplements, I do think they have a role they have a place in it all. I don't know what I was trying to say there, okay? Like, they do play a role in this, and they can help with increasing strength. In particular, two supplements that I have in mind, which is protein and creatine. But another caveat, only if you're consistent with your nutrition and training. I will sound like a broken record, because we are often so quick to reach out for external stuff to help us get results in the quickest time possible, but the results come from actually just doing the same thing repetitively, consistently across months. But anyway, supplements, I digress. Protein and creatine. So protein is essential for building muscle and repair of muscle. And while I advocate getting your protein through like mostly diet, I know it's inconvenient for some people, and a lot of people will struggle to reach their protein intake through food alone, and this is where protein powder can be really beneficial. It's a safe and convenient way that you can add into your foods. You can have it as shakes. You can literally do anything with it, like add it to yogurts, make protein treats with it. There's loads of flavors. Now they're started to make like clear whey, which for anyone who doesn't like milk-based protein can drink that, and it's like drinking my body essentially. So there's that protein powder. Protein will be essential when strength and muscle building is your goal, because you need your muscles to repair and then they go bigger and stronger. Creatine, then on the other hand, is a naturally occurring substance in our body already. It helps to replenish like the ATP. So we use ATP, which is a form of energy when we're resistant training, when we're exercising. So creatine helps to like rebuild that, so we can train with more intensity and for longer durations of time. So taking 5 grams a day of creatine powder can really help over time to build your strength, your endurance, and like your performance in your training. So that's the two that I would recommend if I was going down the route of taking supplements for strength. anything else, like, I really think it's a waste of money. But also, if you're inconsistent with your training and you're not fueling yourself body, and you're not fueling yourself properly, then I think investing in supplements is pissing your money away. So first focus on consistency with that, and then once you have that nailed down, you can look into supplementing your already good training and eating routine with protein and creatine to increase your strength. So moving on to the next question. This is more of a statement, but I guess this client wants to just have a better understanding of period water weight is not actually weight gain. So this is correct. Period water weight is not weight gain. What happens, as I talked about at the start of the episode, is leading up to our period, progesterone increases, so our hormones are changing, which causes us to hold on to more water weight. Water retention is making us put on weight because what the weighing scales measure is water weight, organs, muscles, body fat. Is like a combination of everything our body has. It's not solely just like body fat alone. And this is important to understand so that you don't freak out when you see jumps of 2, 3, 4, or 5 kg on the scales leading up to your period in the 1 to 2 weeks coming up to it. It is normal, it is common, a lot of people experience it. And again, this is why it's so important to be in tune with your cycle, so that you know when you're measuring your progress through weight, you're gonna see those spikes. And this is why I hate using weighing scales as a sole measure of progress, because the scales doesn't only show your fat loss progress, whether you're losing fat or gaining fat. They show the water in our body, organs, muscle mass, body fat. So it's a combination of a lot of things, which means that when our hormones fluctuate, it also affects the weight. But then there's other things that affect the weight as well: how much we sleep, how much fluid is in our body, food volume, the intensity at which we train at, because when we train, we experience inflammation, and that causes the scales to go up. So period is one thing that causes the weight to fluctuate, along all the other things that I mentioned. And when you're measuring progress, it's important that you also take circumference measures, progress pictures, but also don't look at changes day to day, or even I would say week to week, because 7 days is a very short period of time to tell you that you have made any substantial progress. So when it comes to weighing scales and you are actually tracking it, look at it across months and then compare the averages of that, rather than looking at a day in isolation. You could easily stand on the scales weight in the morning and then stand on them again in the evening, and you could be up or down by 2 or 3 kg. That doesn't mean you put on 3 kg of body fat in the space of a couple of hours. So yeah, this is important to distinguish between that period water weight is not actual weight gain, as that client said. And this is the explanation behind it. The reason being is because of the water retention that comes as a result of our hormones shifting depending on what stage in the menstrual cycle we're in. Training when sick. How to approach training when you're sick. Okay, so this really depends, because how sick you are, right? Sometimes you might feel like you have a little cough, have a runny nose. Other times you're literally bedbound. So obviously the degree of your sickness is going to depend on whether you should go train at all. But what happens when, actually, first of all, we need to distinguish between training and just solely physically moving your body, because they're two different things. When you're training and you're putting in intent and intensity, you're sweating, you're out of breath, you're putting your body under stress. And when you're sick, your immunity is already impaired, which means your body is already under stress. So you're only exacerbating that stress, and it's a lot intense, and you're perhaps prolonging your recovery period, which means you're either making yourself way worse by going and doing an intense session, or you're just gonna feel like it's taking you forever to actually go back to full health. Now, moving your body in a gentle way doesn't put as much stress on our bodies. Things like walking, yoga, swimming, all things like this actually can make us feel better and boost our immunity. So I would say when it comes to being sick, you know your body best, and I would evaluate how you are feeling. If it's something like a cold, if it's something like, runny nose or a small cough, anything kind of like above from your chest up, so cough, runny nose, go in and do a workout that's just simply lower in intensity. So you can maybe go in and still follow the workout from your workout plan, but reduce the weight, reduce the amount of reps you're doing, and really take your time and see how you're feeling. You could always just opt for something more gentle, so like not being completely stuck to the couch for like a whole day or whatever the amount of days you are, but you are getting out and moving your body, which can make you feel better. But if it's things like you're vomiting, diarrhea, fever, and I would really go and consult your doctor, but it might be the case where you doing nothing and prioritizing rest, hydration, sleep can be the best thing that you can do for your body, because at the end of the day, you can't function on an empty tank, and trying to push such big discomfort and put even more stress through working out is gonna make you feel 100 times worse. I know when it comes to being sick, it can be frustrating, and you might feel like you're losing all your progress if you take time away from the gym or whatever training you're doing, but that's not the case. Like, you're not going to lose progress in like 4 or 5 days or even a whole week. If you take that off and prioritize other things, you're going to be so fine, and at least you're speeding up your recovery, which means that you can just get back into your normal routine much quicker than you trying to power through and then taking ages in order for you to fully recover and feel that you can train with the right intensity again. So yeah, like, to answer your questions, it really depends. Like, I can't give you a yes or a no whether you should train or not. What I will say, like, evaluate how you're feeling, and if you are like, no, I actually can't, I think training is going to make me feel worse than I am already feeling and I need the rest, do not feel guilty for taking that rest. You need it, you need to recharge, prioritize your sleep, hydration, fueling yourself with a lot of nutrients and vitamins in order to boost that immunity again, and so you can go back into feeling 100% again. Okay, so the next question: how to increase your energy when on your time of the month? So another period-related question, and I feel like it's an important topic to speak about, right? Like, I don't know why, but like, it's just not spoken about as much on the internet, and I find like it's quite hard to find information on it. And I get it from one point of view, because we're all individual, and like, no cycle is the same, and every woman experiences symptoms in a different way, but then also it can leave us feeling a little confused on how we should approach these things. So let's talk about energy levels. It is normal for us to experience a fall in energy, tiredness, fatigue leading up to our period. It's one of the PMS symptoms that some people experience. And that's because progesterone rises and then it peaks and then it continues to fall throughout our period. So we have that shift in hormones, which really affects how we're feeling. And this is why what applies to men when it comes to like training and nutrition doesn't apply to females. And all these considerations are so important to keep in mind, because if somebody is telling you just get over it and push through it, like you're not disciplined enough, like you can't help it, like it's something that's happening in your body. All you can do is try and minimize it and do your best. So when energy levels are low and that week leading up to your period, this is when the quality of food is going to be really important, more so than ever, if you want to maximize that energy. So I wouldn't say you should expect to be feeling completely fatigued, because you need to reevaluate how you as an individual feels, because some people just don't experience low energy as like a PMS symptom. Others suffer with it really bad. See, this is kind of like tricky, because leading up to your period, your cravings are higher, and also our hunger levels are increased, which means what we want to eat is food that is comforting. But what you need to eat in order to like optimize your energy levels is really balanced meals that include like high quality protein, fiber from fruit and veg, and healthy fats to stabilize our hormones. This means that you're not going to experience like spikes in blood sugar levels, because what goes up has to come down. So you want to have balanced meals in order to stabilize energy levels throughout the day, so you're not hitting afternoon slumps, so you're still able to go in, complete your workout sessions, go about your day with feeling good in yourself. So this is why the quality is going to be important. So if you're not already having like balanced meals in your diet, make sure that like you tune in to your cravings and to your hunger levels. Like, yes, increase the amount of calories, yes, not completely deprive yourself and ignore those cravings, but think of what your future self would benefit from, and that would be having meals that don't spike up your sugar levels, because you're more likely to crash if that's the case. Another thing is to focus on your sleep, and sleep is important as it is, like regardless of what stage of the cycle you're in. But if you're already fatigued and low on energy, making sure you get a good quality and enough hours that night will help you feel better the following day. So be a little bit more rigid with your nighttime routine, get off the phone a little bit earlier, unwind, do something that relaxes you so you can fall asleep easier, go to bed a bit early, allow yourself, maybe if that's possible for you, to just like sleep that extra hour or so. But sleep will really help with that, alongside just good quality nutrition and moving your body. And I know during those times, the last thing sometimes we want to do is move our body, because we're like, if I don't have energy now, how am I going to have energy when I decide to go for a walk or when I decide to do a workout? But movement actually gives us energy. So it would be really helpful that when you find yourself just feeling a little sluggish and fatigued, to get out, especially outside. Getting some fresh air can really help. So those things might seem simple, and it's like, okay, well, is there no like magic pill to that? Like, how do I just drink more caffeine or have more sugar? But like, that's the reality of it. Like, it is, the beauty is in the simplicity of it, and you just prioritizing having a better quality nutrition, better quality sleep, and moving your body, despite the fact that that's not what you want in the moment, is really going to help to elevate your energy levels. And that was the last question that we had for this podcast. So nice and short this week. If you found this helpful, then it really means a lot to me if you do share it with somebody else that you think would benefit from it, whether that's sharing a screenshot of the podcast on your social media or sending it over to a friend or family. And if you would like some more guidance, more personal guidance around how to achieve your fitness goal, transform your body and mindset, then I'm going to leave a link to the coaching form in the show notes below. It's free to apply, and I will get back to you as soon as I'll receive it with further detail. You can also check out more valuable information over on my Instagram at its_Martina Gut, and I shall see you in the next episode.